My roommate claimed her boyfriend was the crown prince of Chicago. A notorious bad boy, street fights, drag racing, showering her with gifts. He'd even get her the moon if she asked. The other two roommates were starry-eyed, completely buying it. So romantic. You're so lucky. It's like a dream come true. I hear the Chicago crew are tough, but he's so sweet to you, Mandy. You're so blessed. Mandy, basking in the attention, giggled. It's nothing really, just our everyday stuff. Oh, he said he'll take you all out to dinner sometime. Their eyes lit up. Really? Will the whole Chicago crew be there? Of course. We hang out all the time. Sarah, you coming too? I'd been quietly enjoying the show. Finally, my chance. You said your boyfriend is the Chicago prince? Ethan Blackwood? Mandy beamed. Yep, that's him. I looked at her, serious. He's not like that. Ethan had a reputation, but few outside his circle knew the real him. A disciplined, mature, and reserved man. His upbringing wouldn't allow for such reckless behavior. Not him, not his three buddies either. Mandy scoffed. Small-town girl like you wouldn't understand. You'll never run with that crowd. I started to speak, but another roommate, Heather, interrupted. Mandy, don't waste your breath on her. Let's go shopping. Watching them leave, I thought for a moment. I pulled out my phone and texted Ethan. Hey, you done with work yet? His call came quickly, his voice deep and smooth. First day of classes, how's it going? It's okay. Hey, are you seeing anyone? A pause. Then, with a touch of exasperation. Wouldn't you know? Ethan and I had been close for nearly 10 years. He'd always been focused, with no shortage of admirers, but I'd never known him to have a girlfriend. But if not Ethan, then who was Mandy talking about? His voice came through the phone again, low and husky. Come downstairs. I'm at your dorm. Downstairs, a sleek, black Mercedes waited. Students glanced, whispering about who it could be. Pulling my hoodie up, I ducked into the back. As the car pulled away, I pushed the hood back, meeting his gaze. I grinned. I thought you were busy today. He brushed a stray hair from my forehead. Finished early. Disappointed. Not exactly. Just a little conspicuous. He chuckled. Don't worry. Let them know who you are, and they won't mess with you. No way. Then I'll never make any friends. What am I supposed to do for 4 years? This time he just smiled. Checking his watch, he said, let's get going. They're waiting. They were the other 3 members of the Chicago crew. They'd missed my graduation party and promised a small get-together. As we drove, I spotted Mandy and Heather. Mandy glanced at the license plate, then looked away, resuming her conversation. The supposed girlfriend of the Chicago prince didn't even recognize his car. Interesting. College life kept me busy. Ethan had promised that if I maintained my grades, I could be his personal assistant after graduation. The chance to work with Ethan Blackwood? He was a legend. Finished high school at 16, scholarship to study abroad at 18, and back at 22, transforming his family's struggling business into a Chicago powerhouse. A year by his side was worth its weight in gold. A month later, Mandy stopped me on my way to the library. Sarah, my boyfriend's treating us to dinner. Come with us. I almost declined, then changed my mind. Sure. Ethan's going too, right? Mandy preened. Of course. Him and his friends. The whole Chicago crew. Heather, I noticed, was also dressed up. You're going like that? Heather eyed my jeans and t-shirt with disdain. Seriously? You dress like a bum all the time, but at least make an effort. Little did she know, my clothes were custom made by Ethan's designer friend. I blinked. Don't I make Mandy look even better? Mandy flattered, pulled Heather away. Hurry up. He's downstairs. Trailing behind, I texted Ethan. Where are you? The reply. Overseas. It's 4 a.m. here. I didn't dare disturb him further. Downstairs, Mandy waved. Sarah. Over here. I froze. That was Ethan's car, but he was overseas. Who was driving? What are you doing? Shotgun's Mandy's spot. Heather snapped. I stiffened. Ethan's driver sat up front. The passenger seat was for his security. Now it was Mandy's spot. It's fine, Mandy said condescendingly. Sarah can sit up front if she wants. She's probably never been in a car this nice. Heather fawned. You're so kind, Mandy. No wonder Ethan loves you. Mandy simpered. Let's go. Don't keep them waiting. As Mandy opened the door, I saw the driver, Ethan's nephew, Jason Blackwood. It all clicked. Making an excuse, I slipped away. Back in the dorm that night, Mandy confronted me. What was that about? I take you out and you ditch us. Heather chimed in. Yeah, dissing the Chicago prince? Seriously. I turned to them. Who told you that guy was the Chicago prince? Mandy was taken aback. You think Ethan lied to me? I frowned. Ethan's not lying to you. Mandy bristled. First you embarrass me. Now you're insulting Ethan. Are you jealous? I shook my head, pulling my hand away. Believe it or not, that was Ethan's nephew, Jason, not Ethan. Heather laughed. Right, like you've met the Chicago prince. Actually, I said. I have. Heather's laughter intensified. Dream on, country bumpkin. Mandy, don't listen to her. She's totally jealous. Mandy, appeased, lifted her chin. Just wait. I heard Ethan's giving a talk at our school in a few days. Then you'll see. Heather gasped. Why didn't they mention that earlier? Mandy smirked. He's planning to surprise me. Keep it a secret. I remembered Ethan mentioning a talk. I smiled. We'll see. A month passed. No talk. Mandy grew increasingly irritable, and Heather kept pestering her. Finally, Mandy snapped. Why are you so obsessed? Got a crush on one of them. Heather fell silent. Mandy sneered. Honey, look in a mirror. Days later, I returned to the dorm to excited chatter. Are you sure? This Friday. Mandy was back to her smug self. Why would I lie? I just confirmed it. I heard someone gets to present him with flowers. Heather said. You're gorgeous, Mandy. Talk to the advisor. Mandy grinned. Already taken care of. Just then Ethan texted. He was back from his 2-month trip and at the gate. That explained the delay. His Mercedes waited. I hurried over and got in. He handed me a gift-wrapped box. For you. I took it, studying him. A little tired, but otherwise fine. I thanked him and put the gift aside. Aren't you going to open it? He asked. I love anything you give me. A rare smile touched his lips. Dinner at home tonight. Home meant the Blackwood estate, not our apartment. 5 years ago, when my parents took off to travel the world, my father's old army buddy, Ethan's older brother, took me in. He'd entrusted me to Ethan's care. At dinner, Mr. Blackwood started in on the marriage thing. Ethan calmly replied, in a couple of years. Mr. Blackwood huffed. You said that 2 years ago. Why hasn't Sarah agreed yet? I stared blankly. Mr. Blackwood glared at Ethan and walked off. Mr. Blackwood, I whispered. Is there some misunderstanding? Ethan raised an eyebrow. A misunderstanding? Should I move back to my own place? His face hardened. No, when you get married, I'll have to move out anyway. Might as well do it now. I'm living in the dorm, so. Sarah, he interrupted, his voice sharp. Do you really not know what I'm talking about? Meeting his intense gaze, my heart skipped. And no, he sighed. Just when I thought he was going to explain, he grabbed his coat. Let's go. I'll drive you back. Something felt off. I wanted to ask about the talk, but hesitated. He dropped me off without another word. Back at the dorm, Mandy was even more elated. She'd secured the flower presenting gig. Heather and Chloe were showering her with congratulations. Mandy beamed at me. Don't blink, Sarah. Watch me and Ethan up there showing off our love. I forced a smile. Sure. 3 days until the talk, 1 week until midterms. Scholarships were my priority. I buried myself in the library. Thursday evening, I returned to the dorm to find Heather furious. So that's what you've been up to, you little sneak. You couldn't stand Mandy getting the spotlight, could you? Confused, I asked. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. You went behind her back and stole her chance to present the flowers. That was Mandy's. How could you? I stared at Mandy, who was now crying. Heather explained. Mandy's chance had been snatched away, and I was the replacement. You've got it wrong. I haven't heard anything. Liar. The advisor just called Mandy. You probably got a call too. My phone rang. It was the advisor. Heather was right. I hung up bewildered. I swear I didn't know. I've been in the library all week. Heather scoffed. Really? If you didn't know, why didn't you tell the advisor you didn't want to do it? Unfortunately for them, I do. A rare chance to share a stage with Ethan? I wasn't giving that up. Heather exploded, accusing me of trying to steal Mandy's boyfriend. I sighed. If you have a problem, take it up with the administration. It wasn't my decision. Heather was speechless. Mandy continued to cry. Before I fell asleep, I heard her mutter, what am I going to do? All my plans for a surprise are ruined. Surprise? Tomorrow would be even more surprising. The day of the talk arrived. The advisor briefed me. As I was leaving, she asked, what's your connection to our dean? Why did he specifically request you? I blinked. The dean? I suddenly thought of Ethan. I had no ties to the dean. Ethan must have pulled some strings. He usually didn't care for such formalities. Why now? Mandy appeared. Sarah, she pleaded. Ethan doesn't need anything. I just wanted to surprise him. Can't you give me this? I didn't understand her obsession. Mandy, this is not your boyfriend's Ethan. You'll thank me for this later. As I turned to leave, I heard her hiss. If you don't want everyone knowing about your little affair with the dean, give me back my spot. You asked for this, Sarah. Whatever. I have nothing to hide. The lecture hall was packed. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Did you hear? The Chicago prince's fiancé is here, in this room. The room buzzed with speculation. Mandy stood up, blushing. Ethan doesn't know I have a surprise for him, so please don't make a fuss. It'll ruin it. The crowd gazed at her with envy, peppering her with questions. Finally, the room quieted as Ethan walked onto the stage, radiating an aura of power and confidence. His gaze swept across the room, lingering on me for a moment before he began. Hello, everyone. I'm Ethan Blackwood. Mandy stared, her mouth agape disbelief etched on her face. Heather and Chloe were equally stunned. I was captivated by Ethan. He commanded the room. After the Q-amp began, a girl near Mandy asked, Mr. Blackwood, we've heard you're engaged to someone at our university. Is that true? All eyes turned to Mandy, expectant. Ethan looked at me. Then he said, yes, she's here. Here? In this room? The girl asked. Yes. The room erupted. I suddenly remembered something. Years ago, when my parents were still around, we'd often visit the Blackwoods. I'd become attached to Ethan and pestered him for help with my homework. Mr. Blackwood had joked that I should just marry Ethan when I grew up. Ethan was 16 then, I was 9. He a charming teenager, me a sassy kid, eager for a free tutor. I'd agreed without hesitation. We'd never spoken of it again.